Hello everybody, I am Jason Buck and this is my market recap for the Palos Verdes area. I'm a little behind. This is the slow season as we get around the holidays and Christmas. A lot of people take their home off the market. The reason being is it used to be you had to be off the market for 90 days in order to reset the clock to zero. And you want that because buyers that come look at a house and they see 120 days on market, they're like, oh, it's been on the market too long, something's wrong. Either it's overpriced or there's something wrong with the house, which sometimes, like this last year, the market was just different. It's pretty much down. So what used to be 90 days is now only 30 days. You can take your home off the market for 30 days and then come back with the zero clock for both active days on market and consecutive days on market, which is a big point for sellers. So, and when I said the market's down, ever since like April of last year in 25, when the tariffs were announced, interest rates were hovering around 7%. We never had a really strong market. Yeah, there were some sales and good homes definitely sold, but there were a lot of homes that kind of sat, and a lot of buyers, it felt like they wanted to be, under 850, 800 a foot or in the sevens in order to make something work. And there were a lot of fixers that sold, but not a lot of the nice homes that would demand a higher value that just weren't kind of getting the sales at this time. And I can kind of go through those if you're interested. But I am a little behind on my market recap because I took some time off for the holidays. Even though I kind of been a little busy as well, I still have some few things going on. And it does really feel like a lot of people are waiting for the spring here of 2026. I have a couple listings coming up, going to market at that time. And I have a lot of buyers that had just never really pulled the trigger on getting a home in 2025 that are still eager to find something. And hopefully that inventory picks up and they can get something here in the next year. So if you have any questions or would like to discuss the market or get a personalized list of homes, please write to me. I'd be happy to share that with you and set you up. I am a lifelong native here, right here. And I'm very passionate about this area and what it's like to live here, and I'd share all of that with you at any time, as well as the rich history as I teach a class about the history of Palos Verdes and really enjoy that. All right, so diving in, the last, the week I stopped at was November 20th to November 27th. And what I try to do here is tell you how many homes came on the market, how it compares to previous weeks or months, which homes I liked the most, what went into escrow and what sold, and what I thought were good deals, and just things to watch in the market, as these are all really good points if you're in the home buying or selling process wondering what's happening in Palos Verdes. So from November 20 to the 27th, we had a total of 19 transactions. Now, to give you a better idea of what that means, typically, throughout the year, I'm seeing 50, 60, 36, transactions, so forth, 17. Sometimes we were getting like 30 new homes in the active category. This last week, we only had, or in that first week there in November, five new homes came on the market, 2 price reductions, which showed that are already in November, but that was like the week before Thanksgiving. Things were slow, and that's just typical of this time of year. So only 5 new actives. We had 4 of them go into escrow. Of the new actives, though, one of them was really interesting, 3004 Paseo Del Mar. And that one just blew up on I made a video of it, and it went just like 3,000 views in the first week. It was amazing, something like that. And then we only had 10 sales, of which 4032 Rosseau, I thought that was interesting. So there's been a few homes in that Chadwick neighborhood. They've all sold pretty well. That one sold in 6 days and went over asking. And also 37 Santa Catalina sold. That was a very nice home in the gated community. It took 9 days. It was listed at 3.49 and it went to 3.6. So I like to talk about what sold, how fast, as that is a great indicator of where the market is and where the buyers are. And if you're looking, that helps you understand, where you should bid and so forth. And we can always talk all of these strategies if you're in the market for a home and want some help. All right, let's keep it going. So the next week, 11/27 to 12/4, there were 20 different transactions, of which 5 were new active homes with 4 price reductions. Once again, we're in that Thanksgiving week, and that's typically a lot slower. 5 went into escrow. Surprisingly, we had a big sale. So 609 Paseo Del Mar went into escrow. That was listed at 10.5, and that happened in 96 days. That home's right there on the hill as you getting up to Bluff Cove from Malaga Cove. Beautiful cliffront home. It needs some updating. There's some repairs most homes need, but still 10.5, that was a good sign. The upper market, anything over 8 has been fairly slow the last year or even 2. And we just don't have a lot of sales up over that. There are some in that 6 mil range, but once you get up over 8, it really, really slows down. So good to see that happening. And then in that same week still, 10 of them sold. One that I liked, 87 Dapplegray, that was listed at 28955, and it went to 2.95 after 25 days. Okay, moving on. We're in December now, December 4th to December 11th. 22 homes throughout that period. 11 new active homes, 4 price reductions, 5 of them in escrow, and 6 sold. And I want to concentrate on those. So 2617 Via Rivera sold off market for 2.3. That's a pretty good number for the lower Lanada Bay. Most of the time you'll count lower Lanada Bay as Oceanside of PV Drive West. However, I feel like Via Rivera and Via Carrillo are still close enough without getting up the hill too far. I consider those lower Lanada Bay myself. It's can be debated. Let's see here. What else? 29603 Highpoint's on the east side. 1 day, $2 million. And then 67 Paseo de la Luz. This is a doozy. Now, I'm very close to that neighborhood. It's actually just a little further south from here. That oceanfront complex, and I'd pretty much price those homes at, anywhere from 900 and up. Really, 1150 is your average over the course of the last several years. These are bigger, beautiful homes where on that Via del Cielo, a lot of them on the ocean side, they have the house and then they have a lower level as they built it into the hillside to protect the views for the other ones. This Paseo de la Luz is in the back row, but overlooks all of that. It's over 7,000 feet, and it was listed at 6.5, sold for 6.3. I heard that it's more of a fire sale. They just needed to get it sold because that price is really low. It's under 800 a foot for that neighborhood. That was a deal. That was a very, very, very good deal. Easily $1 million undervalued in my opinion. But that's, part of what happens at this time of year and in sometimes those situations. So whoever bought that got lucky in my estimation. That was a good price. Moving on, December 11 to December 18, we had 24 different transactions. We had 5 new active homes, of which 3 were price reductions. We had 7 of them go into escrow, and one of them was 1640 Paseo Del Mar. That had taken 263 days. The agent stuck with it. She's a good agent. Wasn't the home. It's more about the market. But that's right there across from the preserve, where there's a lot of open land. You get some views, beautiful home, big lot, prestigious Paseo Del Mar. That's not a bad deal there. We also had 12 different sales, of which 27691 Eastvale was one of them. It sold in 2 days. That was just a lot. It sold for 1.25. 6716 Via Canada sold in 7 days for 1.411. That's a low price. That's a good entry value for that area. That is pretty far down Via Canada. Home needed some updates, some repairs. There's video of it here on my channel, but that was a pretty good deal. There were 2 different homes in Rolling Hills that had been on the market for a long time that both sold, and there were 2 homes on Palos Verdes Drive West, which is typically a busier street, that also sold. So even the drive, which is a little busier, is still getting action and getting some sales. And I'm moving right along. So let's look in December 18th all the way up to Christmas, just 12/25. We had 11 homes, so 5 new active homes. Only 1 was a reduction. We had 4 go into escrow. One of them was 30545 Roan. Now that's off Crest Road, big on a kind of the end of the cul-de-sac, huge view, definitely just absolutely stunning. 2-story home, needed some work, like quite a bit of work. So it was considered a fixer. It sold 9 days for 1.675, or we're not sure of the closing price. Yes, went into escrow at that price. We had 7 that sold. Another one of those was Outrider, which was a Rolling Hills home that had been on the market. It actually came off the market, and an astute agent found it after 323 days, and they picked up 4.2. not bad. A couple other ones to notice here in the Lanada Bay neighborhood. These are the fixers that I was kind of talking about. So 2605 Via Olivera sold at $719 a square foot. That's 3,300 feet. That puts it at 2.375. And 2329 Via Olivera sold at $566 a foot. That's at 2.39. Now, both of those are in the Lanada Bay area. I have a home for sale at 1232 Via Cornell. It was on the market for 140 days or something like that last year. We've pulled it off now. We'll come back in the spring. We're priced at 3.3. That home is turnkey. Has a newer kitchen, newer private bath. It's nice, but we didn't get our number because everyone wanted to come in the 8s or less, which we're seeing with these two that I just mentioned on Olivera. And these two on Olivera, they need windows, flooring, bathroom, kitchen. And I mean, that's in today's market, that's 500 to 700,000, fairly easy, let alone living with that kind of construction and stuff. So it depends on your taste or who you know if you can get construction at a cheaper value. But as the people who I've talked to and looking at those homes and going like, wow, it just makes you wonder, like, why didn't they pull the trigger on 1232 Via Cornell? And so that home is still available if you want to have a look. Give me a call. I'd be happy to show it to you. It's just interesting where we're at with that. Moving on from Christmas Day to New Year's Day, there were 15 homes, surprisingly enough. In the active category, only 4 new ones with 2 as price reductions, and then 5 went into escrow. Out of those, pretty surprising, 1 time went into escrow. Now, this is directly in the thick of the slide in the Portuguese Bend area. The home next door, 4 time, was absolutely incredible, but got pretty destroyed with slippage. So that's an interesting buy. The value was pretty far down. I believe it was just over 2 because of the conditions of the area. Otherwise, that home, number 4 time next door sold for $5 million twice, and it only took a week. I mean, it was that beautiful and pristine of an area. So it's just a shame what's happening over there. They're still in a little bit of turmoil. We hope that they can resolve the slippage and that this area can get back to its natural value and, lifestyle, because it's still pretty crazy back there. Also, the ones that have sold, there were 6 sales. One that I thought was pretty interesting was Rue de la Pierre, right across the street from Point Vicente Elementary School. They took 2.110 after 38 days. 27914 San Nicolas was priced pretty low at 1.499, and it sold at 1.6, so 100 grand over. And this goes to show, I didn't point out a whole lot of these, but when I do see a home that goes over market, I mean, it's a great strategy on the agent's behalf to price it lower in the median value and let the buyer say, hey, we want it and we'll take it and we'll pay for it. And they ramp up to the value of the price. So that worked for them. They came on at 1.5, got their attention, and came up to 1.6. And then 4718 Elk Ridge, this is the opposite. They came in at 1.79 and it went down to 1.690. So about 100 grand below. So it really depends on the home itself, of course, but on how the agent reacts with the market and how they present it. So I'm always willing to talk about this stuff if you'd like to have a discussion about either homes that are on the market or where you feel the market might be going, or want to ask me that. I'm willing to talk about it. And I'm excited about the next year. I have a few things already cooking up, so that's great. And looking forward to making some things happen, and always willing to share and talk with you. So Happy New Year. Make it a great one. The year of the horse. It's coming up. And have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.